for disasters before they strike. The first step is to get your family or your household together and talk about emergency planning. The first step there is to identify all the hazards that we face living here in North Texas. And it's no surprise to anyone that the list is very long. So identify those hazards and talk about how you would respond to all of those. The next thing you want to do is create a family or household communications list. Doesn't have to be a long list. The best thing to do is actually write it on a smaller piece of paper so that once you write down all the contacts you need, you can fold it up and put it in your wallet, in your backpack, or even keep a copy in your car. It's really important to include all the contact numbers, meaning cell phones for everyone in your household, but also numbers like your insurance companies, so that if you cannot use your cell phone for whatever reason after an emergency, you have all those important numbers already written down. The third thing you want to do with your family before a disaster is to build a family emergency kit. This is the kit that you would take to your shelter location in case you're there for a long period of time, or if you had to leave your house in the middle of the night during a disaster. You want stuff in here that will sustain you and your family. So, important things that you should put in your kit: water bottles and snacks like granola bars, a change of clothing for each person in the household if you have room in your kit, some cash in case you need to use it later, that contact communications list that you put together, keep a copy in there, any important documents that your family needs, copies of insurance, information for your house, for your car, pets, any of that that you want with you, make a copy, put it in your kit. Chargers for cell phones. I need glasses, so I keep an extra pair of glasses in my kit as well. If you have pets, also remember that you need to make a kit for your pet to include food, water, copies of their vaccination records, maybe even a toy, so that when you leave with your pet during an emergency, you have stuff for them too. North Texas is the most disaster-prone area in the United States, and I don't say that to scare you, but I say that to say that you need to prepare before disaster strikes. So follow all the steps we talked about today, and you'll be more prepared for the next one.
Hi, this is Officer Luna with the Duncanville Traffic Unit. Just letting you know that tomorrow, August 10th, Duncanville ISD starts school back. Letting you know with the school's lights are flashing, if you do receive a citation, the fines can double. Just remember, while you're in the school zone, pay attention to all the kids that are walking and also to put your cell phones down.
My name is Lauren Sanchez, Regional Emergency Manager for the cities of Cedar Hill, Duncanville, DeSoto, and Lancaster. Fire Prevention Week is celebrated from October 8th through October 14th, and the Duncanville Fire Department would like to remind all residents that fire prevention and fire safety start with you. Always pay attention to fire prevention. Did you know that kitchen fires are the leading cause of home fires and home fire injuries? That's why it's important for all residents to understand that fire prevention and cooking safety is extremely important. Today we're going to talk about the recipe of home fire safety to keep you safe in your home. Unattended cooking is the leading cause of home fires and deaths. Always stand by your pan. If you leave the kitchen, turn off the burner. Remember to always turn pot handles away from the front of the stove towards the back so that they cannot accidentally be bumped over or pulled over the front of the stove. Always have a lid and oven mitt near your pan when cooking so that if a small grease fire starts, you can take the lid, slide it over the pan, and turn off the burner. When grilling, always make sure that your grill is in an open space and not near anything that can catch fire, like the side of your house, decking, rails, or even tree branches. Also, never leave a grill unattended when it is in use. Clubbing and cooking don't mix. After a night out, order in. For more general information on cooking safety and Fire Prevention Week, visit www.fpw.org. And for more information for kids and cooking safety, visit sparky.org.
Hello, champions. I'm Officer Michelle Arias, the Crime Prevention Officer for the Duncanville Police Department. Today I'm here to let you know what each permitted solicitor must wear if they're coming to your door. We have recently received several reports of suspicious people impersonating city or utility company employees.
Hi, I'm here with Encore.
As a reminder, each permitted solicitor should be wearing a reflective vest like this. The vest should display a pictured ID on the front side and a permit number on the back side. As always, if you see a suspicious person or suspicious activity, call 911 and report it immediately.
My name is Talia Lopez. I'm the Crime Victim Advocate for Duncanville Police Department. Crime Victim Advocate, what we do is that we help and support victims of violent crimes with education, information, and further resources. I work with a lot of domestic violence victims and their families. I provide support as well as resources. That includes the Women's Shelter, Genesis Women's Shelter, the Family Place, that's shelter for men, women, and children. Counseling support, because that's really important. Trauma support services of North Texas, as well as the Victim Intervention Program by Parkland. They provide those services, as well as immigration. I do assist with the U visa process, as well as Mosaic services. So there's an array of resources and services for victims that are experiencing domestic violence. Victims can contact me through my direct office line. That is 972-707-3832. They can always give me a call. I receive text messages as well, but I'm here to give them support and information.
The National Weather Service just issued a tornado warning. We've got to go shelter in place. When sheltering in place, whether at home, at work, or in public, you always want to shelter inside, never shelter outdoors. When sheltering in place, there might be an area with a sign that says shelter area. That means that this area is safe for you to shelter from a tornado. Shelter in a room that is most interior to the building, meaning that there are no windows in the room and none of the walls touch the outside. Once you're in this room, you want to stay here until the tornado threat has passed completely. In order to be extra safe once in your shelter room, the best thing to do is to get low to the ground. So crouch down on the floor. If you're in the bathroom, the best thing to do is get in the bathtub. Once you're crouched down on the floor, you want to be sure to protect your head. So
So cover it with your arms. If you brought a pillow with you, if you brought a helmet with you, keep your head protected. You also want to have your cell phone with you so that you can keep track on the radar or through emergency alert so that you're sure once the threat has passed.
Today we're going to talk about how you can prepare for disasters before they strike. The first step is to get your family or your household together and talk about emergency planning. The first step there is to identify all the hazards that we face living here in North Texas. And it's no surprise to anyone that the list is very long. So identify those hazards and talk about how you would respond to all of those. The next thing you want to do is create a family or household communications list. Doesn't have to be a long list. The best thing to do is actually write it on a smaller piece of paper so that once you write down all the contacts you need, you can fold it up and put it in your wallet, in your backpack, or even keep a copy in your car. It's really important to include all the contact numbers, meaning cell phones for everyone in your household, but also numbers like your insurance companies, so that if you cannot use your cell phone for whatever reason after an emergency, you have all those important numbers already written down. The third thing you want to do with your family before a disaster is to build a family emergency kit. This is the kit that you would take to your shelter location in case you're there for a long period of time, or if you had to leave your house in the middle of the night during a disaster. You want stuff in here that will sustain you and your family. So, important things that you should put in your kit: water bottles and snacks like granola bars, a change of clothing for each person in the household if you have room in your kit, some cash in case you need to use it later, that contact communications list that you put together, keep a copy in there, any important documents that your family needs, copies of insurance, information for your house.
I'd like to call the June 9th, 2025 regular meeting of the City of Duncanville Planning Commissioner to order. It is now 7:01 p.m. Commissioner Nguyen is in absence this evening. So, moving on, so item number 1, we've called to order. We do have a quorum. Moving on to item number 2 on the agenda. Item number 2 on the agenda is a consent agenda. All items under this are considered to be routine by the Planning and Zoning Commission and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the agenda and considered separately. There are currently 3 items. 2 are letters of support for a grant, and 1 is approval of the minutes for the Planning and Zoning Commission for May 12th. Is there any discussion among the commissioners? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I move to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Rodriguez. So I have a motion to approve and seconded. So if yes, I'm sorry, are we roll call? We're doing roll call? Okay, not roll call. Okay, so if in favor, please indicate by pushing the button to vote. Commissioner O'Brien. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3. Have any public comments been received? So item number 3 is public comments on the items not listed on the agenda. To submit a comment via email, it needed to be submitted by 4 p.m. on Monday, June 9th. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we will move on to item number 4 on the agenda. Before we start with staff for the first case, just as a reminder, the Planning and Zoning Commission, we are a advisory board to the council. We are here to consider zoning issues which are specific to land usage that will preserve commerce and neighborhoods. We are a volunteer board and council and happy to serve. With that being said, item number 4A is case number 2025-0003. Staff, if you can proceed with the summary.
Well, good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Brendan Kane. I am a lead planner with Olson. We are under contract with the City of Duncanville to provide planning support to the city and the Plan Commission for applications and cases that come in front of you. So I'm happy to be here this evening with you all. The first project or item this evening in front of you is for the property located at 710 Valley Hill Road. The request is for the use of the property as short-term rental or Airbnb. Within your current zoning code, these types of uses are permitted within single-family residential districts as long as they receive a specific use permit. In this specific instance, the applicant this evening is looking to utilize the entire 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house as a full Airbnb, so they will not be living on the property. The property does currently have 3 parking spaces on site, and 3 vehicles will be allowed as part of the Airbnb location. Again, from a reference standpoint, this property is located, as you can see here, in a predominantly residential area that is zoned SF7, single-family residential. Again, as the request is for a specific use permit, Future land use designation is low-density residential, and the current zoning district, as I mentioned, is SF7. We did mail out 18 mailings, again, statutorily for the state of Texas. We are required to notify everybody within 200 feet of the property. That resulted in 18 mailings being sent out. We did receive 3 responses in opposition for this application this evening. And those were included in your packet as part of your information this evening. Your options for consideration this evening are to approve the specific use as presented. Option you have in front of you is to approve with conditions. If you see that there are conditions that should be required as part of this application, should be considered this evening, please state those in your motion. Staff did identify 2 conditions, again, mainly to make sure that all properties do conform with the fire and building codes. This is kind of a step 1 application for specific use permits. The applicant will still need to submit, for building permits and building and fire approval to permit this use, depending on the recommendation from the Plan Commission and ultimately the City Council decision. You also have an option to deny the application, but in that option, make sure, again, identify findings of fact, that are related specifically to zoning, or you have the option to table the application until a future Plan Commission meeting if you so choose. Our recommendation this evening was to approve this application and move it to the City Council for consideration.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Brennan, quick question for you. In the staff's recommendation for approval, does staff take into account any year limit on the SUP in light of probably what we've done for other similar SUP requests for short-term rentals?
We did not take the time permit into consideration as part of that, no. That is a purview of the Plan Commission, though.
Do we have, and I don't intend to put you on the spot, but I know that we have 2 of these and some, I guess we could say, legislative history. So I guess my question for you is, does staff have at its disposal or fingertips what we've done in similar STR, SUP cases that have come before this body in recent, just for sake of consistency and a look back?
My understanding that they were very similar to this nature, as requesting for the short-term rental. Again, they do have to go through a building and fire code approval process, and they are part of the short-term rental inspection program, which does require them on a yearly basis to come back forward and have their homes re-inspected by the City of Duncanville and the building department on a yearly basis. They are also required to register the property as an Airbnb with the City of Duncanville as well. So there are a multitude of measures in place to maintain their conformance to the building and fire code and the requirements for the application.
Notwithstanding its conformance with building requirements, let me just ask, refresh my memory, isn't there a provision within the ordinance that allows for, if there's any, in that yearly reapplication process, if neighbors have any concerns, they can report those and those are taken into account? Is there not? I just want to make sure, in reading through some of the comments in opposition, I want to make sure we have on the record that neighbors do have a method, if you will, to make any concerns they have if someone is not acting as we hope or intended. Can you confirm that for me?
I will confirm that in 1 second, but I do, it is in your packets, the entire ordinance that was approved. Yes, there is an appeal process that is within your packet that is outlined by the ordinance that was adopted by the City Council that does provide opportunities if there are concerns for them to appeal it to the city, which then would bring it back forward in front of the Plan Commission and City Council for consideration.
Thank you very much.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff? Seeing none, does the applicant wish to address the commission?
Yes.
Please state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Oliver Aguilar, address 710 Valley Hill Road, Duncanville 75137. I'm here today to just give you all a little bit of insight. Been a Duncanville resident for 30-plus years. I raised my kids here. Had a great time volunteering and being a part of the Duncanville High School band member board and stuff like that. I've enjoyed my time here. Recently, though, my wife passed away from cancer about 2 years ago, so I find myself needing to change. My kids are out of the house. I don't want to sell. I love the city. It's just too big for me to live by myself, you know, and it gets pretty big. And I don't want to rent out the house either because I just don't like long-term rentals. To me, Airbnb made sense because they can come rent it 2-3 days at a time and then leave, you know, and I can go to my high-rise where I want to, you know, the one-bedroom high-rise for myself. So that's what I'd like to do. I hope y'all consider it. I've taken all the precautionary measures of security, of securing my home as well, because I know there's a concern of bringing people and bringing noise to the neighborhood. My son lives right across the street. The neighbors I've known for 30-plus years. I've got security cameras. You know, I've taken all the precautionary measures to make sure that the community and my home would be safe as well, if this is granted. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I do. Sir, I'm assuming, just looking at the application, that you're also going to engage a Airbnb contract in order to filter through the people that are going to be renting the place?
Yes, exactly. There is a contract that I have the choice of who to approve or not approve, and that goes into their history of rental history and to be able to say how many people I want in there at a time, you know, yes.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any more questions for the applicant? Seeing none. The question was for, did the commissioners have questions to the applicant? I didn't see any questions from the commissioners. Okay, seeing none. Moving on to the, do we have a?
Madam Chairwoman, I just want to confirm, as Mr. Davis, your question in section 12C-60, if they receive more than 4, if the city receives more than 4 complaints to the city, they have the right to pull that and repeal the approval of the permit. So that those are in place.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Do we have a motion to open the public hearing portion of this item?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Rodriguez. I will, all those in favor, please indicate by voting. Motion passed. So I will now open the public hearing. Do we have anyone that is signed up to speak on this item? Oh, if you do, please come up to the podium. Once you are at the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
Signed up or not. My name is Larry Barrett. I'm a resident across from this gentleman that's put in his application for his ARB. I'm at 711 Valley Hill Road. I've owned that resident since about the '88 time frame. I've raised my kids there. At the present time, my son currently lives there. I object to this due to the neighborhood. It's kind of a small neighborhood. Parking is very hectic. Since the time frame my son have lived there, he's complained numerous of times about the number of people parking in his spot. So with ARB people coming in, that's going to push parking even further. It's going to bring in outside people who are not familiar with that area. There are small kids in that area that goes to Duncanville High School, the same as my kids done. And if you're familiar with ARB, what goes on, if this is the type of stuff you want, then you approve it. But myself personally, I don't agree with this, and this is why I'm voicing my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here to speak for or against this particular item? Please come up to the podium. Once you're at the podium, please state your name and your address for the record. You will have 2 minutes to speak.
My name is Robin Thomas. I live at 1522 Valley View Lane, which is around the corner from Valley Hill. Once again, I keep saying to y'all, the town and country estate. Y'all putting schools, you want Airbnbs in our neighborhood. I agree with this gentleman here. Parking is horrible. They got kids running around. We are just slowly getting people out of the neighborhood that's renting. People are actually starting to purchase homes in our neighborhood. Now you're bringing the Airbnbs and you're bringing the schools in our neighborhood. Can we get a break? It's just flat out wrong. If you don't want the house, sell it. There's enough going on in our neighborhood with people not keeping up the yards, they're not keeping up our area. We don't need anybody else coming into that small area creating more havoc. Please consider the people over there that's actually buying their homes and own their homes and don't want to deal with this. It's just wrong. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else here to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved at 7:18.
Thank you. Thank you. Commissioner Davis, Commissioner Browning, indicate via vote. Oh. So moved, motion passes. Is there any discussion on this particular item?
I do have a question. What is the parking configuration there, and how many vehicles would be allowed?
The parking as identified within your packet, there are spaces for 3 vehicles on the property. So a maximum of 3 parking stalls would be permitted for that site. The public road is a public road, and so individuals do have the right to park on a public street.
But there's 3 parking
But
spaces on the driveway.
there are 3 spots specifically on the property, yes.
Question for staff. Have we had any issues with code enforcement or police, I'll call it, at that address in that area?
To our knowledge, there has not been any issues as it relates to any type of compliance or complaints from that property, no.
Well, just last question, that this specific property, is the roadway improved with a sidewalk access?
Don't have that in front of me. I can hopefully look at, does the property owner?
I don't know whether
Sidewalk there?
property,
There is
sidewalk
sidewalks there,
and
yes.
curb street? Yeah, all right, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any more questions for staff? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I second.
Before you second, I need a,
Right, I approve.
Commissioner O'Brien, could you repeat your motion?
I approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien and Commissioner Davis. All those in favor indicate by a motion to approve the item as listed. Please indicate by voting. Commissioner Champagne. Motion passes. Commissioner Browning. Thank you. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 4A.
B.
4B.
B.
4B. Thank you, staff.
All right. Item B in your packet this evening is for the property located at 615 South Cockrell Hill Road. It is for a convenience store and with a gas station, also known as Murphy gas station. The applicant is requesting to develop the subject property as a fueling station with a retail convenience store as the primary use and fuel pumps as an accessory use. According to the City of Duncanville zoning code, you are permitted within that district to have a retail convenience store as of right without any type of specific use permit. However, because of the fuel pumps that are being requested as part of this application, they are required to receive a specific use permit for that portion of the project. Again, we are specifically talking about the fuel pumps on the property, not the retail convenience store as part of this application. Again, this property is located on the corner of Wheatland Road and South Cockrell Road. Just for bearings, there is a gas station that is across the street as well. This property is zoned local office retail district. The future land use map designation does identify this as opportunity area number 1, a little bit different, a little bit unique. There are some additional requirements. I won't say requirements, but your last comprehensive plan had identified this area as kind of a highly visible area. Since it's the proximity location to Highway 67, they thought, it's a gateway and entrance into the city. Wanted to make sure that, that there's high quality development that does not only on 67, but also as you come into the city of Duncanville on Wheatland Road as well. And so underneath the opportunity area number 1, as I've identified, they're looking for high quality interstate highway commercial development, retail commercial development, either standalone or mixed use development, or on this property could be considered for medium or high density residential development as well. And as I mentioned, the request this evening in front of you is for the fuel pump specifically. Again, a retail convenience store is permitted by right within this district. This is just a brief overview of the site plan that is being proposed for the site. Again, we're only specifically talking about the fuel pumps, but the site plan has the building in the southwest corner of the property. The existing driveways will be reused as part of the egress and exit of the property as well. There is an entrance on Wheatland Road. There's also ingress egress on South Cockrell Hill as well. There is actually a shared ingress egress on the southern property line as well. The fuel pumps will sit out in front of the property, as you can see presented here, closer to the corner of Wheatland Road and South Cockrell Hill Road. From a public input standpoint, there were 25 mailings that were sent out as part of our required notification. 0 responded with support, and we did not receive any in opposition either. With that, I'll take any questions.
Commissioners, are there any questions for staff on this item?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Brennan, beyond the revised elevations, there's virtually nothing different in this SUP request as it relates to the gas pumps, right?
That is correct. The site plan is in front of you. There was a previous application that was presented to the Plan Commission about a year ago, which was denied by the Plan Commission 2-2 that evening. The applicant was, directed, I would say, or advised by the Plan Commission at that time to consider other options for the property and speak with, the department about other uses. They have come back forward with this application. You are correct, Mr. Davis. Although we are not specifically focused on the elevations this evening, that has been the change from a standpoint of the design. They are also offering, as part of the application, to build an entry sign as part of this. That was identified within your comprehensive plan, that the corner of Cockrell Hill Road and Wheatland is kind of a secondary gateway into the community. And so as part of the proposed site plan that they are considering, depending on what happens with the specific use permit, they would be constructing a monument, a sign for the city of Duncanville as part of their overall site development.
Is there any particulars, thank you for responding to that question that elicited that information. Is there anything that you care to point this commission to in terms of those revised elevations and the facade that would be informative since April of 2024 when we last saw this request?
Again, we are specifically here for the fuel pumps. We are not
Correct.
here to discuss the elevations or the proposed site plan. That would go through, depending on the recommendation and ultimately the city council decision.
Oh, I see.
That application, because it's an as-of-right use, would still need to go through the internal building department process and zoning approval for that. So we are only speaking specifically on the fuel pumps and whether or not you are seeking or are willing to consider permitting the fuel pumps on the property. The building elevations, everything else, because it's an as-of-right use, does not require plan commission consideration.
Thank you very much for that clarifying point.
I have a question for staff. If we're going to focus on the fuel pumps, are we going to look at the number of fuel pumps that we're going to allow or the tenant is going to propose? And are those fuel pumps going to have a canopy over those?
The applicant is here this evening to answer any specific questions as it relates to that, but that is one of your purview, is to consider the number of fuel pumps that could be considered for that site within your recommendation, yes.
All right, thank you, sir.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff on this item?
I have a comment. Is that, are we just doing questions or?
We're just doing questions, and then we can hear from the applicant.
Okay.
Commissioner Davis, question?
So this application is back before us because the applicant has submitted new elevations. I just want to make sure I'm clear. This application is back before us because we are considering a special use permit for the operation of fuel pumps. But this application in effect is back before us with the only net change being elevations, which we're not considering in tandem with this SUP.
Correct. You are specifically only focused on the fuel pumps this evening.
Thank you.
Seeing any more questions, commissioners, are there any more questions for staff? Commissioner O'Brien.
Since we are considering fuel pumps only, how many fuel pumps are going to be asked for in this particular instance?
I'll let the applicant answer that to confirm that number. I don't want to speak out of turn of what is being proposed for the site, but the applicant is here this evening.
If there are no more questions for staff, does the applicant wish to address the commission this evening? Please state your name and address for the record.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Stephen Oliver, 200 East Peach Street, El Dorado, Arkansas, 7575210. Sorry. Murphy USA has been in business since 1996. We currently operate about 1,800 stores in 27 states, 300 of which happen to be in Texas. We are all corporately owned and operated. We're not a franchise operation, so you're talking to the operator, the applicant, the person that you can hold responsible for anything you see or questions. As a corporate citizen in all of our communities, we sponsor the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. We're probably one of the largest corporate sponsors. I'm sure there's a post here that would gain our support, or does have our support, since we have stores in this town already. From a training perspective, we offer extensive training for the prevention of sales of age-restricted products such as alcohol and tobacco. A safety standpoint always seems to come up. We will put in somewhere between 17 and 25 cameras, half of which will be 360 view cameras, and half of those are outside. So we become the eyes of the community of that intersection, and we become a friend of law enforcement as they're trying to, when they need tapes of to see what may have happened across the street, down the street, or at the intersection. We will develop and do develop a good neighbor program. We do develop litter control, loitering controls. We will make a sign pledge to you right now that we will comply with all the signage, including temporary signs, to make sure they comply with standards. We will work with the police in crime prevention. If there's a crime prevention task force, we would like to get involved in that to help. And we will also communicate with our neighboring partners, both residential and commercial, in terms of how to contact us in the event that there's an issue on the property. Part of this, as part of the SUP process, I think some of the things you probably consider have to do with traffic. We do not generate traffic. As a retailer of fuel, we simply intercept the traffic that's there. The driveway locations are going to remain exactly as they are, in place where they are. From an environmental perspective, we do comply with all state laws, federal laws, in both air quality, ground, water, soil, both lighting and our litter control program. You heard earlier from an aesthetic perspective, we did enhance the building. We are putting a Welcome to Duncanville type sign on the corner to help fulfill the opportunity zone that was mentioned earlier. The intent of this area being commercial, we believe we fit into that and we provide a service and a need. We don't believe that we will adversely affect the public because of its use and because of the neighborhood that surrounds it. I'd also like to point out that in these times of climate weather, we have a team of people in our home office that respond to weather events, whether it be a hurricane, a tornado, a hailstorm, fires in the west, because we know that when those catastrophes happen and power goes out and services dry up, the first thing those people are looking for is fuel. And we try to get open to be among the first available for the community so that we can get them back working and back living. I would just askfully respect that you approve the project. I'm going to bring up my engineer can answer some other questions that you may have from a technical basis.
Keaton Mai, 10755 Sand Hill Road, Dallas, Texas. I'm here to answer any questions you might have on the more technical aspects of the project.
Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
I'd like to address the canopy issue, the aesthetics of the canopy. If we're just addressing the pumps and the number of pumps that we're going to allow, or you're proposing for this particular site. I'm very familiar with the area, and also I'm assuming if you're going to put up signage, it'll fall within the city of Duncanville building standards as far as the size and whether it's a marquee sign or whatever sign you're putting on the building.
Yeah, to answer your question on the number of pumps, there's 8 pumps, which would equate to 16 fueling positions, and then all the signage proposed, both on the canopy and freestanding, would need to meet local ordinance. To speak kind of to the building elevation upgrades, we're also upgrading the facade or the finishes on the canopy. We're proposing like a pitched roof, masonry wrapped columns of the canopy, so it's kind of above and beyond what we would typically do.
All right, thank you.
Commissioners, any more questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to open a public hearing on this item.
So moved at 7:35.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Rodriguez. If we could have a vote, all those in favor? Motion passes. Is there anyone here to speak for or against this particular item? Seeing none. Is there any discussion?
I do have a comment. The key features of an SUP include, as our packet states, that the proposed use would strengthen and help diversify the economy of the city. And we have a number of fueling stations along Cockrell Hill Road. And so I'm just concerned that this doesn't add to the diversification of the commercial establishments in our community.
Any more discussion on this item? Seeing none, I will entertain a motion. Commissioner Browning, did you have a motion? So our options, Mr. Kane, options are to deny. Could you repeat those for us, please?
Public hearing is still open. Are you going to?
Oh. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved at 7:36.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis and Commissioner Rodriguez. And Mr. King.
In front of you are the options for your consideration. Again, you can approve, the specific use permit as submitted. You can approve with conditions. You can deny but state the findings of facts, or you can table this application to a future Plan Commission meeting. Again, and this is a recommendation to the City Council for consideration.
Commissioners, is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that we approve this SUP application as read into the record for a period of 10 years, for a 10-year period.
I'll second that motion.
Commissioner Davis, thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez.
And if, Madam Chair, if you open the floor for any discussion on the motion, I'll simply say when we heard this before, I think that this group was somewhat of a mixed body of should this be allowable, shouldn't this be allowable. We heard a lot of input from the neighbors most nearest this area who shared some concerns, and I think that you see today that we didn't get any opposition, any comments back in opposition on the similar zoning request. And then we also don't have anyone here in opposition to this request today. I think when we evaluate the merits of the special use permit, taking into account the factors even that my colleague Ms. Browning mentioned, I think this is we're considering this not because a retail establishment couldn't operate on this corner as it did in the past because it has that zoning by right, but this really is a question about the use of fuel pumps and whether or not it's compatible with the neighborhood. And I think that we look just across the street to another operator. So I don't know that in my estimation that this is woefully incompatible with the area, and that absent hearing those sustained concerns from neighbors, I make that motion. Also for a 10-year period to balance out the investment, I think, back to the city. But in our recommendation to council, I think that this balances the concerns we heard a couple months ago.
So just for the record, my concern, again, when we heard this a few months ago, was the same as Commissioner Browning, which was the number of fuel pumps in the area. We currently have a racetrack. There's a Quick Trip not too far away, and I believe there's another fuel pump. So thinking about the comprehensive plan and our purpose as a body to preserve and promote commerce in neighborhoods, I wasn't convinced that allowing the fuel pumps aligned with that. And that's my comment, being that it is what it is. We have a motion to approve as stated, and we have that seconded. Is there any more discussion on the motion? Is there any?
I'd like to make a comment, Commissioner. I think when I was involved in the previous presentation, and yeah, there were some critical things were going on, and I think this is more of we're voting on the SUP for fuel pumps. I think we kind of got off track on the aesthetics and the building and the architecture and what was going to happen to the entire corner. But based upon the presentation now and based upon zero opposition, I'm in favor of voting in favor of approval and seconding the 10-year motion to go forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Rodriguez. Is there any more discussion on this motion or this item? Okay, seeing none, the motion on the floor is to approve the SUP as submitted. Please indicate your vote. Motion fails 2-4. Moving on to item number 4C on the agenda. Do we have a staff report on this item?
Do. Again, good evening, everyone. The application that is in front of you this evening is for 508 East Redbird Lane. The purpose for the request while we're here this evening is the applicant is requesting to continue an auto repair services major use in a commercially zoned district. The most recent specific use permit for this property has since expired, and the business will be under new ownership, and why they are in front of you this evening for consideration. Again, according to section 3.03 of your zoning ordinance, any type of auto repair or services that's a major are identified as a major is permitted within the commercial district with review and approval of a specific use permit. On your screen is the location of the property. Again, it is currently within an area that is of the commercial district along Redbird Lane. There are other uses out there. It is kind of eclectic out there right now. There are some homes. There are some other businesses that are within there. I want to be very specific that, as you can see on your screen, there is a home that sits in front of this right off of Redbird Lane and is not part of this, specific application. As you can see, it's kind of a little flag lot that goes to the rear of the property that we are speaking of this evening. Again, auto repair and services uses majors are required with a specific use permit. The property is currently zoned retail commercial in your current zoning district, or current zoning district is commercial as well. Here's just an aerial of the photo. Yes, it's included in the house, but it is not right now. We want to bring into, just for the Plan Commission's benefit, the applicant has spoken with staff and has gone through the DRC. There were some concerns that were brought forward with, the appearance of the property that's out there today. As you can see in this aerial photo, there's a lot of vehicles that are on the property and everything else. And therefore, the applicant has provided as part of your application, as part of this SUP request this evening, kind of a site improvement plan that was discussed with staff and also the Development Review Committee. In front of you, you'll see that they are planning to pave an area for the fire lane that's not out there today. It's more of a gravel road, and that'll be paved and striped, as you can see in the red. That was a requirement by the fire department. They are going to be improving the fence that's out there today as well. And they're also going to be, there will not be, the area that's out or in the rear of the property will be asphalted if there are any inoperable vehicles or vehicles that are going to be worked on, that are going to take some time. That area, which is currently gravel, will also be paved as well as part of that application. There are some additional things within the application that, again, that staff has worked with the applicant, and the applicant is willing to consider as part of improving this property. Again, the previous use was an auto repair shop. It did expire. A new ownership is coming in, and so they are looking to improve the property as well for their application. We did, as part of the noticing, we did send out 15 mailings. We did receive one that responded in opposition for the application. That was included in your packet for consideration this evening. Again, your options for consideration for specific use permits are listed on the screen here for consideration, and staff did recommend approval of the proposed specific use permit for this property. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions for staff?
Yes, Madam Chair. Mr. Brennan, help me understand. So the previous owner of this property no longer owns this property, so therefore the SUP expired or is no longer in effect, and so this new owner is now before us making this new request. Help me understand the current conditions and the complication and the need to improve that site that's separate and apart, and the relevance and the separate and apart from this application, because I do have some concerns. about the use and the on-site storage. It appears in your aerial photo of cars that are perhaps in disrepair. So help me understand kind of both, and because I wonder if this is a little premature. I'm just wondering, but go ahead.
Yep. So I will be a full transparency. This application came in prior to, Olson being engaged by the city. So we are going through the process and bringing it up. Our understanding is, in previous conversations with the city, the applicant, does want to make an improvement to the site. I believe there were concerns that were brought forward by previous staff members of the condition of the property that it was or is in today. Again, the gravel roads, the gravel driveways and everything else. And again, trying to be good stewards to the neighborhood. This property does back up to a residential district as well. Again, it is a very unique location because you do have commercial properties, they are commercial. Sometimes they borderline go in the industrial area on that part of it. And so as part of I would say, not a compromise, but again, the applicant willing to improve the property because they want to be good neighbors to the city, to the community, to the neighborhood as well. Within your packet, they did identify, again, there was concerns that were in red, that were identified by previous staff, and the response by the applicant to make the commitment to the city and to the neighborhood to make the improvements on the property, because again, they want to be good stewards to the area, and again, utilize the property for what it was previously used for. But yes, because of the ownership change and the new owners, it does require a new specific use permit as part of that.
Unlike the last case, I'm really sensitive to this in terms of the automobile repair uses, the storage of those, the near proximity to residential uses. Can you go back to the zoning map just really quick, because I have a question. So the subject property, notwithstanding the flag configuration, but directly sharing the property line that abuts are all residential uses, correct?
Correct.
Of those that are on the northern side, you said they're commercial and some of them teeter towards industrial. I see some shades of purple or whatever, that's a little bit, but I guess my question is, of those commercial uses, how many of them are automobile repair related uses?
There are several along that area. Again, even in this aerial photo, it does identify there are existing homes out there. Again, this is what would be kind of a transitional area within your community that over time just has.
I understand. Of those uses, how many of those are automotive uses? Back to the zoning map.
I don't have that figure in front of me in the sense of how many of those specific properties are automotive, but I know that there are several properties along there that are automotive or higher intensity type of uses of this nature.
All right, thank you.
Question, so the prior SUP was to an automotive or a similar business?
Correct, yes.
And that business didn't adhere to or keep the property as we would like, which is why we have the improvement plan. So what's in place that would stop or decrease the likelihood that the new applicant would do the same?
Again, the application is in front of you because of the change of ownership, and again, over time, the property, the use has not been there for some time, and therefore the reason why the new SUP is in front of you for your consideration. Again, previous staff that were here brought up some concerns, again, just of the appearance of the property and trying to improve the area, and the applicant has made those commitments to the city to improve the area based upon the comments from previous staff on improving the property.
Based on your response, what I'm gathering is there's nothing officially in place. We're depending on the commitment of the applicant and the applicant keeping his word, right?
So as part of a motion for consideration would be our recommendation, which I believe we have in here, to approve these conditions as part of your motion. If that is the decision of the Plan Commission to make up to the Plan Commission, you can include, and we recommend as part of your motion, the improvement plan. We did identify that as part of our approval for our recommended approval for this application, that the improvement plan that was submitted would be part of that application,
Understood.
which would require the applicant to make those improvements.
Thank you.
Wha-
Commissioners, any more?
I've got one quick question for staff. Based upon the aerial picture that we showed, do we have any open code violations or any building code violations? Because I'm looking at the aerial picture and vehicle storage, repair. I mean, as part of our recommendation, can we make sure that the applicant does follow through with a commitment of maintaining the area, the fire lane, all the safety, welfare issues, as well as, this is historically, this area here, they tend to start storing cars after a while, and those cars become a nuisance, and you got residential right behind you. So if we can incorporate that as part of the SUP, if we decide to move forward with it, I think that would be feasible, and it kind of give somebody a sense of security, especially if you live behind the subject property.
To address that, a certificate of occupancy would not be granted to the applicant from the building department until all improvements were made. So again, if the plan commission does recommend consideration of approval to the city council, and with these conditions, they still have to go through building and fire permit. All those improvements would have to be made. A certificate of occupancy would not be granted to them to start operating out of that facility until all the improvements were made. The plan commission does have a purview to also restrict the number of vehicles that are on the outside of the property. That is it within your purview, or you could also restrict how long inoperable vehicles are on the property as well. So those are things that the plan commission could consider as part of a motion to bring some sense of comfort level to you all, to the community, and to the neighbors as well.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff?
Yes, I have a question. Earlier, you said how many people did not request any type of protest against the...
There were 15 mailings that were sent out. We only received one response in opposition.
Okay.
And that was included within your packet.
Yes, exactly. That's included in my packet. Now, I do believe that the respondent said there was too many auto repair services in my area. Too many cars are being test driven with a very high speed on Woodhaven Boulevard. Loud noise, gunshots, music, vehicles being worked on a block in the street. So the applicant here has some genuine concerns about what was going on before, and since this is one of many repair shops, the actual need for another repair shop is in question.
Thank you, Commissioner O'Brien. Was this a discussion, or was there a question you want staff?
It's just that when you look at what is the need that is serving the community, okay, is this a service to the community that is going to be viable in the long run? So if this has been an issue before, even with the promise of having certain things in standard before it is able to be in operation, following through on that is a concern of mine, because this was approved by somebody some time ago. So what happened?
So when we consider the comprehensive plan and the
Yes.
and the planning for that area,
Yes.
is this in aligned with the future land use and planning
With
for
your current comprehensive plan, yes, the use is permitted is in line with your current comprehensive plan, yes.
I have a question about if it's conforming with the current comprehensive plan and design for that area, they need a special use permit to actually operate that way. And my concern is all of those shops along there are presumably under an SUP. And if this is really a transitional sort of neighborhood where we're trying to enhance the area, I'm just not sure why we would continue approving these SUPs when we have an opportunity to enhance the neighborhood by drawing in businesses that actually conform and don't need an SUP, if you see what I mean. That's just my comment.
How many existing SUPs for this strip or this area? How many SUPs are?
We would have to go back and research that. We don't have that in front of us this evening. Looking at the zoning map right now, all I can see one to the left, which is underneath or I can see two of them right now that are underneath the legend. There's some form. The hash line is an SUP. If you see kind of the hash line. Okay. Again, without knowing what those properties are right off the top of our head, those most likely are an SUP of some sort for a use on the property. Again, we're talking about the use, that, and again, because the way that the current zoning ordinance outlines auto repair shops, it requires a specific use for the commercial district that this property currently lies within.
Thank you. Commissioners, any more questions for staff? Any discussion? Seeing none, does the applicant wish to present to the commission? Is the applicant here?
The applicant's here this evening.
Okay. Seeing none. Moving on. I will entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved at 7:58.
Second.
Sorry.
We have a motion and a second. If we could vote, indicate. Public hearing is now open. Do we have anyone here to speak for or against this particular item? Seeing none, do we have?
That gentleman?
Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Thank you. Indicate by vote, and please vote. Motion passes. Do we have a motion on this item?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move to approve this special use permit subject to the improvement plan that's as a part of staff's recommendation. And if I have a second, then I'll have comments as to my motion.
I'd like to second that motion and add a little bit more verbiage to that vehicles not be there more than 60 days if they're not running. That would kind of eliminate the outdoor storage of abandoned vehicles.
I accept that amendment, Commissioner Rodriguez. I appreciate it to help manage so staff can work the language as a part of the improvement plan, particularly around item number 2, that would then also stipulate that inoperable vehicles they must be stored within the parameters that you provided in item number 2, but going a step further to Commissioner Rodriguez's amendment is that any vehicles inoperable and in storage beyond 60 days must be removed from the property. Did I understand your amendment?
That's correct.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Commissioner.
I have comments, if I may, if with the second. Special use permits, I think, are an effective tool for areas that are in transition in a city. It helps you manage the zoning that's on the ground for a special use, but you can also pull it in and manage it if for some reason that use gets out of hand or if an individual doesn't comply with the conditions. or the intent of a special use permit. A lot like we heard earlier with the STR, there are mechanisms in place that if an individual actor is not acting in compliance with these conditions, that they can be brought into compliance and that use be stripped or taken from them for their lack of compliance. I do not personally or professionally believe in granting SUPs for an indefinite period of time, because that's in effect almost changing the zoning. But I think this, in a 5-year period in a neighborhood with transition, with a commitment and the requirement to adhere to an improvement plan, gives us as a city an opportunity to help clean up a site that may otherwise not be cleaned up, but for coming before this body and asking for this special use permit. So I see this, the reality is that aerial photo shows what's on the ground today. But we have someone on the hook in terms of an applicant who's willing to help us get that site cleaned up. And then we've gone the extra mile with an improvement plan and also language in the actual ordinance, which the SUP will become the ordinance for that particular piece of property, in order to help manage that storage issues and any of those nuisances, those potential nuisances to the neighbors who share the property line to the rear. So that's my motion. Hopefully, colleagues, you all will help me, will support this applicant in that.
A question, Commissioner Davis. Were you adding to your motion a deadline of 5 years as well? So is the motion now?
Yes. So let me repeat the motion for the sake of clarity. It's to approve this SUP application subject to the improvement plan that's within the application and that's been recommended by staff, to also include that vehicles that are inoperable or under repair for more than 60 days cannot be stored, must be removed from the property. That would take item number 2 within that improvement plan, I think, a step further in helping us manage inoperable vehicle storage in these type locations. So that's the motion for a 5-year period.
Thank you. Commissioner Rodriguez, I believe you were the second on that.
Mine was just to add the 60-day.
Okay. So the motion that we're voting on is a motion to approve as submitted with the property improvement plan, adding the 60-day and the 60-day or less, or inoperable vehicles for more than 60 days will be removed, adding that to number 2 with a 5-year limit. That's the motion we're voting on. Please indicate your vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4D. Staff, do we have a report?
Yes. Again, good evening. This item is for a property located at 209 North Royal Oak Drive. Similar to a previous application this evening, this applicant is seeking a request for a short-term rental for property that's located within SF13 single-family residential district. This applicant, different than the first one this evening, has a 4-bedroom house. They would like to rent out 3 of them. They will be maintaining residency at the house. So it is going to be an owner-occupied rental as part of their application. Again, because of your zoning code, a specific use permit is required for short-term rentals within any single-family zoning district. On the screen you have in front of you is, from a zoning perspective, the property is zoned SF10 single-family. The surrounding area, it maintains that same zoning district and residential character. Future land use map does continue to identify this as low-density residential. We did, as part of the application, send out 11 mailings. We did receive 1 response in favor or support of this application. We did receive 3 in opposition that were included within your packet for consideration this evening. Again, the options for consideration for you to consider this evening: staff is recommending approval of the application, again, subject to meeting building and fire code requirements for the property. Any questions?
I do have a question on the diagram, the color floor plan diagram with the vehicles in the driveway. It looks like there are 5 bedrooms
You are correct. I think that was actually an error that we caught afterwards. It is a 5-bedroom house, yes.
And so they are seeking to rent out
4 of them.
4 of
correct.
them,
Yep.
okay.
Thank you for that clarification, Ms. Browning.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff? Any discussion? Seeing none, does the applicant wish to present to the commission? Please approach the podium, state your name and your address, please.
Good evening. My name is Mario Riojas. I live in 209 North Royal Oak Drive here in Duncanville. And I'm alone after 44 years of marriage. Became widowed last year. I'm alone in my home. I'm on disability, so I'd like to live out the rest of my years in my home and supplement my income somewhat, you know. Raised my kids here, a lot of memories. Both my boys played varsity baseball, Duncanville. Always been involved here. Like the city, like the area, like the trees. But other than that, I hope you take me in consideration. Other than that, thank you and good evening.
Thank you, sir. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, we'll entertain a motion to open public hearing on this item.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Rodriguez. Is there anybody here to speak for or against this item? If so, please approach the podium, state your name and your address. You have a 2-minute time limit. The timer is on top of the podium.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Douglas Adams. My husband and I built our home at 215 Royal Oak Drive in 1996. We have enjoyed our beautiful and quiet neighborhood for 29 years, and we would hate to see that change now. We have no sidewalks or curbs on our block, and we are against short-term rentals in our neighborhood because it could cause increased traffic, parking issues, noise, and disturbances. We don't want potential for illegal activity, transient guests, or extra trash in our neighborhood late at night or in the early morning hours. Short-term rental properties are prone to having increased incidents, some involving police, and that could result in safety issues for our homeowners in our neighborhood. Thank you for listening to our concerns. Did I state my address? I'm sorry, I may have forgotten that. 215 Royal Oak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, my name is Arthur Jackson. I live at 1211 Castle Grande Place, Duncanville. And short-term rentals, what they usually bring, we already in the neighborhood where we have a lot of people who move back home. We got 3 and 4 cars already parked in people's houses now because of kids moving back home. Now, short-term rental, we're gonna have people coming back into the community. We don't even know who they are anymore. We have on Royal Lane, you have cars speeding through there at night, 50, 60 miles an hour, burning out rubber, tires. You can hear it all night long, especially Saturday night. And no one haven't done anything about it. Short-term rentals, we do not need in the neighborhood.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else speaking for or against? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. Thank you. Is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion,
I do have a question, and I don't know that this is really in our purview as PNC, so if it's not, just let me know. The concerns from residents tend to be about increased, crime and things like that with transient behaviors. And so my question is, if the police can let us know, is that really a problem with short-term rentals in our city? Is there a history of that? But again, if that's not something we need to be considering, let me know.
We can certainly get that. I don't have that specific answer. I know we have several representatives from the Duncanville Police Department here this evening, but we can certainly get that information, but I don't have that this evening, or right now at least.
I was just curious.
I have a question for staff. Do we have a list or number of STRs in this specific target area? We have anything that we could look at?
So I'm going to say our understanding of there's only a couple that have been permitted through the Plan Commission to date. Since the city of Duncanville has enacted this ordinance probably about 6 months to a year ago, there's only been a couple applications that have officially gone through and received the permit approval from the City Plan Commission and City Council. There's probably less than a handful right now, and then these two applications that you've seen this evening.
Yeah, and I think the difference here is that the actual owner's going to live on the property. I'm assuming that. And hopefully he's also using Airbnb to kind of filter the people coming in and out of that location. Yeah, those are just questions I have, which are pretty standard in the industry, but I think this is only the second case that I've seen in 5 years that has an owner occupying the actual property, other than an Airbnb we had downtown a couple of years ago. All right, that was it. Thank you, sir.
And again, I mean, within your packet is when the city created this ordinance, they were pretty thorough in the sense of how to approve it, what the mechanisms were in place from the enforcement side of stuff. Now, understanding there are most likely ones that are not conforming to this ordinance or have been previously there. I mean, there's no crackdown on those. But again, individuals that move forward are following the requirements. And again, the city does have the rental inspection program that does require yearly inspections and everything else, not just for short-term rentals, but also rentals in the city. So,
all right, thank you, sir.
Commissioners, any more questions for staff?
I have a question. I wanted to know if there's any standard operating procedures in place to vet the people that are coming into the rental homes or rooms or Airbnbs, as far as meeting standard requirements for people who might have a background that will be in question and not be allowed to rent that room.
I'm not a manager of short-term rentals, but I understand, again, when you list it on the property.
Could I speak?
You are more than.
I'm the manager of the short-term rentals project. My name is Josh McConnell, the building official. We currently have 4 properties registered as short-term rentals in the city. Quick look at Airbnb, you'll find about 40 of them advertised. The only ones that we're able to regulate and monitor and check on are the ones that are registered, and we have very little complaints out of them. There are mechanisms to revoke their license, and they get annual inspections each year. But like I said, the vast majority, 40, I looked one day, I saw 40 of them, are not registered at all. So in my view, regulating them, allowing them, and having some control over them is the way to make sure there aren't problems, because the other 40 we really don't have visibility on. Do you have any other questions?
Well, that really didn't answer my question.
There are procedures in place to revoke the short-term license. If there's 4 occurrences, like 4 police calls to a residence, then they would lose their license.
And just to clarify, and that would be for the 4 that you
only for the 4 that we
that are authorized and have been granted by this body, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Right. You would not have that recourse on the others.
Correct.
Okay. Well, outright, right? So okay.
Mr. Bryan, I think you were referring to the actual homeowner when they listed on the property. Again, I don't know the back end of Airbnb and what the requirements are for homeowners to go through. It is up to them to evaluate, individuals that do make reservation requests. Again, Airbnb does have, ratings and everything else. If the individual has a poor rating or anything else, they have the purview of either approving or denying any request that comes in. But as for a background check, that part of it is not regulated through the city. That would be on the owner to review that as part of any type of request that comes in once they list the property.
Okay.
So I'd just like to make two comments. One, Airbnb is one platform that manages short-term rentals. There are a number of others. So although we're mentioning Airbnb, there's also VRBO, Booking.com. Or Airbnb is just the most popular one. And two, using an SUP based on what, I forget the gentleman's name who just spoke, actually gives residents an opportunity to use their voice and to complain to the city. Otherwise, we wouldn't know they were there, and if they complained, the city wouldn't have an opportunity to do anything about it. That's my perspective. Is there any more questions, discussions? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning and Commissioner O'Brien. Motion is to approve as submitted. Please indicate your vote. Motion passes. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4E. Before you start your summary for this one, I just want to note that at the moment I have 3 items. In the interest of time, if there's other people who plan to speak, comment form so that we can move quickly through those. Before we start on this item, the commission would like to take a 10-minute recess. That'll give people the opportunity, if you do have comments and you have not completed a card clip, please fill those out. So the time is 8:18. The commission is taking a 10-minute recess. We will return and reconvene at 8:28. Thank you. Time is 8:28, and I would like to reconvene the Oh, can't hear me? Good evening.
There you go.
Okay, time is
Excuse
8:20
me.
Time is now 8:29, and I would like to reconvene the Planning and Zoning Commission. Before we get started on the next agenda item, just a couple of reminders. One, we are a voluntary advisory board to the council charged with considering zoning issues and land usage in order to promote and preserve our commerce in our neighborhoods. Two, in order to be efficient tonight, in order to be able to make a decision tonight, when you guys are making, if there's a group of people together, please choose a spokesperson, have that one person speak for you guys so that we can get through all of the comments and we can make a consideration. Three, you will be limited to 2 minutes. 2 minutes will be on the timer, and you will have your full 2 minutes. When your 2 minutes is up, I will say thank you. If you continue to talk, your mic will be muted because we're trying to get through. We also want to not do a lot of the hand claps so that we can move through it efficiently, because we would like to be able to make a decision and take a vote tonight. That being said, does staff have a summary of this particular motion, item number 4E?
Yes. All right. Thank you, Madam. Members of the Planning Commission, this item in front of you is a continuation of the public hearing for what's commonly known as Life School from the May Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. I will provide kind of just a brief update to the Planning Commission of some just additional information that was included in your packet. And just from a process standpoint, the applicant is here this evening to answer any questions that may come up from you all. Whether it is after my presentation or public comment. If there are during the discussion standpoint, there's not intended to be any type of presentation by the applicant this evening. Again, just as a reminder to the Planning Commission, the applicant is intending to develop an educational facility for a public charter school that will include a future middle school, high school, associated parking, infrastructure, athletic facilities, and also a stadium. Within your zoning district, schools are required to receive a specific use permit for location within a single-family SF13 zoning district, or they have the option to submit a PD as part of their application. Again, as this has been discussed, has gone through the Development Review Committee has worked with staff over the past year, and it was best determined because of the additional requirements for setbacks and also for building heights and everything else, that the PD would be a better option for the applicant to proceed forward, and that is what is in front of you for consideration this evening. Again, just a reminder of the map location. Again, this is on the corner of Daniel Road and I am losing my Cockrell Hill Road. Sorry, I lost the name of that for a second. But it is the property that is outlined in red for you for consideration. Again, the request is for a public charter school, and they are seeking a PD. This property, with your current comprehensive plan, does identify the area as low density residential. But again, schools are permitted, whether public or private, within low density areas or single family districts. Just a reminder that this project is going to be broken up into 2 phases. Phase 1 is going to be for the high school, the associated parking and the stadium with the initial capacity of 1,500 for the property. This will also include sufficient on-site traffic management and queuing for pickup of the vehicles, or for vehicles to be picking up students or dropping off on the property as well. Eliminating basically the need to use the roads for the queuing of the distance. Phase 2 would be the middle school at that time, and then additional parking and additional infrastructure would be coming at that time. Again, the overall site plan for your consideration. Again, we're only the phase 1 is only going to be the high school, but again, there's going to be a significant amount of infrastructure that's going to be put in place as part of this project. Before I get into that, just an update to the Plan Commission of the application, additional information that was included in your packet for this evening. At the May 12th, 2025 Plan Commission, there was some discussion about a couple of specific items, and I addressed that within my updated staff memo and report that was included in your packet. A couple items that I just wanted to bring to your attention this evening as part of this application. There was discussion about the ownership of the property and the economic side of it. This property has been tax exempt since 2009. The previous property owner was a tax exempt private charter school that was going to build on the property, and it was only Life School that purchased the property a couple years ago and are seeking to construct a middle school and high school on the property. So for approximately 16 years, this property has not been generating any tax revenue to the city because it has been a tax exempt property. Also want to, at the request of the Plan Commission last month, Olson, along with the city, did request the city's legal firm and team to provide a legal opinion for the rights of private charter schools and what the rights of what the Plan Commission can and cannot regulate, along with the City Council for that application. That memo is included in your packet, but in summary, I want to say that in short, you may regulate the building height, the setbacks, the lighting, parking, and screening, along with the landscape and other aesthetic or functional standards. Anything related to the zoning district specifically is what you have the purview for regulating as part of this PD application. As it relates to public or private schools within in the state of Texas, they are permitted to go and do basically any district within the city. But again, your purview as a Plan Commission, you do have the right to evaluate it from a setbacks and building height standpoint. And we do have our legal team here this evening if you do have further questions as it relates to the rights of the Plan Commission as it regulates schools within the city. There was a comment made as it relates to an economic study that was included in your packet. I want to again confirm that economic study does not have any jurisdiction in the sense of the application that's in front of you. Again, you are only focused on the PD when it comes to the zoning aspects of it. If any type of financial considerations would be taken up as part of a presentation with the City Council if and when that application does move forward to the City Council for consideration. Again, your purview as the Plan Commission is to focus on the zoning code and the requirements that are listed within the zoning code to date. There was a lot of conversation about the traffic and the traffic management side of things. Want to reiterate that there were multiple studies there was an initial traffic study that was completed by the applicant at the request of the city when the application did come in. It has been independently reviewed twice and confirmed twice that the recommendations and the improvements that the school is offering as part of their improvement plan meet or exceed the requirements and the traffic levels that are out there today. I won't get into the details on that part of it, but I want to confirm to the Plan Commission that this has been independently reviewed twice, and both engineers in that summary was provided by HKS of the improvements that are going to be done, whether it's reconstruction, whether it's traffic lights. Again, those have been recommended by the multiple consultants that have reviewed the traffic study. Now, that does not mean, the applicant, depending on the recommendations that come out of here, the applicant still does need to submit for a building permit and still needs to get final approval. What we are saying is that what is within the reports, maintain the levels that are out there and are the recommendation of the consultants that they are meeting the expectations for managing the traffic on the property and around the property as well. So that's not just the improvements on the public roadways, but they are also from their traffic management plan exceeding the required amount of queuing distance on their property to minimize or eliminate any type of queuing on the public roads, which was a concern that was brought up as part of the previous meeting. All of those letters are within your packet and were provided as supplemental information. The letter from WSB, the letter from HKS. We did include the traffic study and also the traffic management plan as part of your packet for consideration. And then lastly, just an update of where we are at with the public input. As a reminder to the Plan Commission, it was Statutorily, we are only required to notify everyone within 200 feet. During the process of this application, there was a commitment made to notify everyone within 1,000 feet of the property for this application. So in May, we sent out 561 notices, and for this meeting as well, we sent out an additional 561 notifications to the public, informing them that we were continuing the May 12th Plan Commission. To date, the city has received a total of 283 responses. We have not calculated whether that is 283 out of the 561. There are definitely addresses that we have seen that are from cities or from individuals from cities outside the city limits of the city of Duncanville. So there has been support letters or there have been opposition letters that we have received from individuals outside of the city as well. But I want to notify that, again, we've received 283 total responses to date as of this afternoon. When this application, I'll say if and when this application goes to City Council for consideration, we are only, again, from a statutory requirement, only required to look at the properties within 200 feet of whether the City Council has to make a determination from a supermajority. The Plan Commission is making a recommendation. You do not need to worry about the supermajority, but I wanted to inform you that within the 200-foot radius, there are 92 properties that have been notified, and to date, we have received 21 letters or notices in opposition. That is letters or individuals that spoke at the last Plan Commission meeting and on May 12th in opposition of this application. Again, that is only within the 200-foot radius that we are even need to, I'll say, even consider when an application or when this application does go to City Council for consideration. Again, your options for consideration this evening are to approve the plan development as submitted. You can approve it with conditions. If there are items that you identify that should be considered as part of that PD, you can deny it, but again, you would want to state findings of facts for denying that application, or you may table the application to a future Plan Commission meeting if you so choose. And with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you may have of staff.
Commissioners, any questions of staff?
Yes, Madam Chair, very briefly. Can you point my attention, is there somewhere in our material the text version of the proposed planned development district? Just is there a text component? I see site plans, I see traffic management. Is there I may be overlooking it with all the other correspondence in here, but if you could point my attention to that, and while you look for that, go ahead.
Right after the actual application, there is an application that's in your packet that would say the City of Duncanville.
Right.
Right after that there is a Word document in there that's dated January 29, 2025. That is the PD request submitted by the applicant, and that does identify and outline what they're looking for, the exhibits. It also talks about the height and the requirements of what they would like to be considered as part of that PD application.
Okay, thank you. I see something that looks more familiar to what I'm saying. Okay, so I actually see the text. Second question for you. I appreciate you distinguishing between what's statutorily required versus what isn't in terms of those in opposition. But let me just ask, I assume we went above and beyond to notice residents or neighbors that we were taking this under so we could be able to facilitate that feedback, correct? Or understand what those responses are?
The applicant at a previous town hall, along with the city, when this application was first made, there was a commitment made by, I think, the city and the applicant to notify outside of the 200-foot radius, and it was determined to notify property owners within 1,000 feet of the property.
Yeah. Controlling for those who perhaps don't live in the city of Duncanville, do we have any sense of those 283 or so, those responses in favor or in opposition? Since responses were received.
We did receive, again, looking at the merits of what we were looking at, you're probably looking at a 2/3 to 1/3 ratio, 2/3 in favor, 1/3 against of all the 283 that we've received.
Could you repeat that again?
Are you talking about the 92, or are you
No.
talking-
Of the additional 561 notices that were beyond the statutory requirement, you just said to date, the city has received 283 responses. I'm just curious. I understand that some don't live, but since you put the number up, I'm just now curious, of the 283, a general sense of how many were in favor and how many were in opposition.
Of the 283 that we've calculated to date, about 1/3 of them identified not in support of the project. 2/3 of it would be in support of the project.
All right, thank you.
So while I appreciate the feedback from the residents, in order to keep order, in order to move forward, in order for time, if you could hold your comments to the time public hearing and voice it then, it would help us make sure as commissioners we hear the concerns and make sure we move forward in an efficient and timely manner. So that would be appreciated. Commissioners, are there any more questions for staff?
I have a question regarding, you said that the assessment for traffic was done twice and it was over and above the requirements of what we requested. And looking at the paperwork or the reports that were submitted, it's not done in a way that is making a lot of better word sense to me as far as how it was conducted and what does this truly mean. So when I'm reading it, it's like, so how is it interpreted correctly?
So we do have Ultra P Moore here that can probably supplement some of the information if needed this evening. Again, from the reviews of the current conditions that are out there today, in the sense of the traffic that is on Cockrell Hill Road and also on Daniel Road, there were certain elements and certain intersections that were identified as part of the study area to determine how traffic is moving, the timing of the signalizations that are out there, and everything else. All that is obviously within the report. I'm gonna narrow it down in the sense of currently from a traffic level standpoint, your roads in both locations are at about a level C, which is pretty standard for roads from a traffic standpoint. The improvements that are being made at the financial commitment of Life School are going to maintain that level of service on those roads or increase it, to, a little bit from above a level C at full build out of the property. So with the future signalizations that are going to occur as part of the project and the additional improvements that are being made on the road with turn lanes, apples to apples comparison, you are basically going to see a negative or neutral level of service reduction on those roads with the improvements that are being made. And again, that was confirmed by 2 independent consultants as part of that. The applicants can certainly fill in if he has any additional information, or he is here to answer any questions on specifically the traffic component. But
Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioners, any more questions for staff? Seeing none, I understand that the applicant is not going to make my presentation. At this moment, does the commission have any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Brennan. So before the public hearing has already been opened on May 12th, so we'll be continuing that this evening and moving into that part. Before we start that, I do have a number of public comment forms. I will call out 10 names and ask you to line up here to my left along the wall. If you hear your comment has already been stated or someone has already made your point, please, when you get to the front of the podium, say that you agree with whoever mentioned it so that your voice is heard, but in the interest of time, so that we can move forward and so that the commission has time to make a decision tonight and a recommendation to the council. please just state that I agree with such and such so that we move forward. Again, each person will be given 2 minutes. The timer is on the podium. It will make a loud beeping sound. If you continue, I will say thank you, and then I will ask our secretary here this evening to mute your mic so that we may continue. Please hold applause to the very end if you would like, but not during and in the middle. And if you're a part of a group, please choose a spokesperson to go up. That being said, this is in no particular order. This is just the order in which I was given the stack. I have, so as I call your name, please line up to my left, and then when I get to 10, we'll start with the first person in the line. Nessa Sasser, Shirley Lacey, Jason Barton, William May, Stephanie Smith, Mrs. Douglas Adams, Robin Thomas, Lawrence Smith, Arvis Miller, and I believe that is 10. That being said, yes.
Madam Chairwoman, it is a continuation, so we will need a vote to reopen the public hearing.
Thank you.
So if you could please have that, and then
All
we'll.
right. Could I have a motion to reopen?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Brown and Commissioner Rodriguez. Please vote and indicate your vote by pushing the button. Thank you. So motion passes, starting with Ms. Nessa Sasser. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Okay, good evening. Nisa Sasser Hartford, 1531 MacArthur Drive, Duncanville, resident also of Daniel Dale Farms. I'm asking for no rezoning from an SF-13. The PD diminishes the livability of the area, and keeping with the rezoning sentiments, rezoning decisions bring uncertainty to our neighborhood and the surrounding neighborhoods. Commissioners, please listen to what Life School is not saying with great detail. The athletic complex, including the 2 lit soccer fields, which indicates soccer fields will be used at night, and a PA system that will be broadcast for miles around, including a athletic stadium or athletic complex. Please consider all of the things that are not being said in great detail. Also, what about the parcel of land that its intent has not been revealed thus far? So there are so many unanswered questions. And I know the previous planning and zoning, at the previous planning and zoning hearing, Life School reps mentioned that these were solid plans, okay, with minimal changes. However, they have the option to expand their plan depending upon if these changes are deemed to be minor or major, what changes or constitutes a major change or a minor change. Even this evening, the staff rep, when he was going over the review, said that the stadium will seat initially 1,500. So what's to say that more seats will be added going on in the future? So how can we stop that? Also, the previous owners of the property did not move forward with an approved application for a zoning change. So that was mentioned also earlier. Thank you.
Please state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Shirley Lacey. I live at 1126 Bradley Drive. So I live in the Meadows at Daniel Farm. And so I would like to strongly oppose the rezoning to a PD. The zoning should remain single family 13. No positive impacts with them coming to our community, which is mainly residential homes. Only negative impacts. There's no need for a school in our area. No benefit to the city of Duncanville. Life School proposal will change the dynamics of our community, our beautiful community, our peaceful community, our quiet community that we now enjoy. Life school construction will cause destruction, disturbance, disruption, disarray, and distress to all of the residents and communities in the surrounding areas. We will have to endure torn up streets, one-lane traffic, bulldozers, drilling machines, dump trucks, backed up traffic and traffic jams, one-lane traffic, loud noises behind us and in front of us for months and months, probably years, creating chaos and commotion, affecting not only our community, which is Daniel Farms, but others as well. The surrounding communities, Hollywood Park, Willow Park, Thorntree Manor, Meadows at Homestead, Cambridge Estates, and Frumps Farms, and the overall Duncanville area. Life school request for approval and rezoning to PD is self-serving. We ask that it remains Single Family 13. We love our community, and we love the city of Duncanville.
Thank you. State your name and your address for the record.
Hi, my name is Jason Barton. I live at 1114 Bradley Drive in Duncanville. I live in Daniel Farms. I am here in opposition of the rezoning. This is the fourth event that I've attended in opposition of the rezoning request. I've spent hours away from my family just trying to counter this whole movement. I don't see it being a good fit for our community. As it is, I have 9-year-old twin girls, and the stadium is set to be, from what I can tell on the plans that were presented, within a couple hundred feet from our back door. So as it is, it represents a pretty big disturbance to my community as well as to my individual household. It doesn't bring any tax revenue into our community. If I understood the plans correctly, when they presented the traffic study at the last meeting, there were at least 2 intersections that did have a substantial impact from the increased traffic that were already inadequate to handle the amount of traffic that was coming into the community. So I don't see the traffic being better or unimpacted, as was stated earlier tonight, from 2,000 or so students being bussed in and driven into our community. So yeah, I'll leave some extra time for the individuals that will be speaking after me, but I am in opposition of it, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
My name is William May, and my address is 1515 MacArthur Drive in Duncanville. The school itself is going to be located right behind me. And, you know, as he stated earlier, we just really oppose the school being there. It's not that we have anything against schools, but we feel like it could be relocated somewhere else. And we have a school already on Duncanville Drive, but it's further down across Main Street, and the traffic going to that school is horrendous. And every day when I drive past that traffic, I feel like that's the same thing that's gonna happen on Cockrell Hill and Daniel Dale, where we live. And there's only one way in and one way out. So when we get there, we're gonna be like stuck in our area. And no amount of like traffic maneuvering is gonna quelch the traffic, because right now it's really bad. And at that corner where Cockrell Hill and Daniel Dale meet, there's been numerous accidents there. And there's numerous traffic that comes from the Red Oak direction. So it's gonna be a lot more than what they're saying it's gonna be. And all we ask is that the commission respect the family, residents, and the people who live there. That's all we ask. Thank you.
State your name and address.
Good evening. My name is Robin Thomas. I live at 1522 Valley View Lane, and I agree with all my previous counterparts here. He's not telling you the truth. Those 283 people that mailed in, I would like to know they say yea or nay, because I know they said no. It is an inconvenience for us. That's going to create more traffic. It's just like the freeway. You build a freeway, more traffic comes. It's the same thing with Crocker Hill and Daniel Dale. There's no way to move lanes because there's telephone poles on one side and you got people, other side is like residential yards that you're gonna be impeded on to put your extra lanes. So I am against y'all replanting this to a commercial zone. Please leave it as a single family. Build more homes. If you wanna build something over there, build more homes. Thank you.
Before you start, just let me line up the next 10. If I may Cook or Marie Cook. Oh, Mark Cook, sorry. Corey Johnson, Kim Reap, Alicia Young, Jan Hoffer, Joe Hoffer, Jerry Messer, and Edward Munoz. Please state your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Smith, and I'm at 1507 Halsey Drive. I'm also in Daniel Farms, and I'm a proud graduate, 1997 class of Duncanville High School. After college and starting a family, my husband and I chose to return to Duncanville because of its strong neighborhoods and access to quality public and charter schools. And I want to be clear, I fully support education and educational opportunities. Our own children attend a nearby charter school, and we appreciate the value that they bring when located in appropriately zoned areas. In fact, there's a charter school with a football stadium just down the street built in an area already zoned for such use. Tonight, the issue is not about supporting education, but about rezoning. Rezoning a single-family residential area against the wishes of neighbors to allow another charter school which offers no economic benefit and disrupts our community. It's not appropriate. And I urge you to vote no on this rezoning request, and I encourage the charter school to seek locations already zoned for its purpose. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
I'm Lawrence Smith, and the second best looking adult in 1507 Halsey Drive. Again, I also want to repeat that, I encourage you guys to vote no. When a statement is made that needs clarity, I don't want to say it was a lie, but there probably needs that statement about 283, 2/3 being in favor, needs some clarity because it implied that it was the people that were actually living in the neighborhood that gave that response when there's pretty much universal opposition. With that being said, it is my hope that we maintain that the commission please listen to the neighbors in our opposition. We are saying no. This brings nothing extra. We already have good schools. We already have those in our areas, but this brings no benefit, so we are asking that you do vote no.
Thank you. Please state your name and address for the record.
Sure, thank you. Arvis Miller, 1510 Halsey Drive, Duncanville, Texas. I oppose this totally, and I do wish that this gentleman here could provide us sincere answers about the 2/3 saying yes. All the data he has on slide deck, he doesn't have that here. Our property, our community is 69 houses, roughly 17 acres, just say 20 acres for 69 houses. 105 acres is what Life owns. 20 acres of those 105 produces about 362 houses. At $8,500 per house for taxes, I know it's higher than that, but I'm trying to be considerate. $8,500 per house at 362 houses, about $3 million. That's an economic stimulus to the city. My water bill is about $150 a month. $150 a month times 362 is about another $54,000. That's economic stimulus. I attended Life School as a 7th grader. I'm a big advocate of education. My 2 girls attended Duncanville High School. They both attend UT also right now, quality education from Duncanville. We have enough schools here. The property that was owned by a previous charter school that has no merit on right now with life. The traffic, the lights, the light pollution, the sound pollution, the noise pollution, the crime, they said before 5,000 seat stadium. Here's something else, 85% of the students are gonna be bused in, 10% are gonna be driven in, 5% is gonna be from Duncanville, we hope. This is not a new school. This school that's coming, that they want to build over here is coming from Oak Cliff. They're closing Oak Cliff and bringing Oak Cliff Charter School over here. That's why all the activity is gonna be coming from. So we're okay at Duncanville, we're good, we're City of Champions as we are. Thank you so much.
Mark Cooks, 1106 Bradley Drive. 7 years ago, this body, P&Z, and the council restricted how many dollar stores could be in Duncanville within 100 square feet. This property was zoned for single family for a reason over the 8 to 10 years. Is this within the comprehensive plan that I heard you spoke about tonight? We currently have 3 ISDs within a small 11.7 square miles in Duncanville. 2 of them are zoned with P&D. In front of you is an unofficial traffic study that we conducted, that I conducted, or we conducted, talking about how our traffic will look. You have that in front of you. So though those numbers talked about traffic study within the property, I want you to see that the traffic study is really when we're going to work, all right? The economic impact, you talk about economic impact, ask Oak Cliff property what economic impact has Life School made to them. I'm here to argue that was a little bit of none. This property, we have 69 homes. The gentleman made the property tax of 69 homes average $200,000. 160 acres, you can put 300 homes on 160 acres, which will revenue property tax of $840,000. I'm only talking about property tax that the city of Duncanville could gain. I'm urging you to vote against changing it to planning and development. One of the reasons I also asked you to do that is that many people, you came up and says, this is a great school, and I'm not doubting that. But I live in Cedar Hill. Some say I live in DeSoto. If it's so great, ask their city to relocate the charter school that they love in their community.
Thank you. In the interest, go ahead. Just a reminder. In the interest of time, if your statement or your point has been made, please say you agree with the person. It's currently after 9 o'clock, as I mentioned. We're a voluntary advisory board. We want to make a decision tonight, and in order to do that, we get to be efficient with our time so that we can make that happen. Please state your name and address for the record.
Corey Johnson, 1502 Marshall. I just want to point out that this will be a magnet for traffic. The study that they keep referring to was a study they conducted, and then they purported to have hired independent evaluators for which they probably paid for. The traffic that they don't study and they don't have in this report relates to the incredible amount of traffic during rush hour on Cockrell Hill and the entrance to 67, which if you go there any morning, will be about a 300-yard line of cars going back from the highway. That's the failure that they fail to address. That's the problem with this proposal. And the fact that they could come in here and be so dismissive of both this council, who are volunteers, who respectfully ask them to send out additional requests to see the opinions of the people around them, and then don't give you the courtesy of counting those votes and giving you that the respect that you deserve as volunteers, shows that what we can anticipate from them in the future, which is the problem that we're here to address. That these individuals, or the people who are purporting to or advocating this school, don't understand or respect their neighbors before they even get there. And that's why this should be rejected. That's why it's not consistent with the health and safety and the general welfare of this area. And that's why I'm opposed, and that's why there's almost universal opposition to this particular proposal. Thank you.
Evening. I'm Kim Reapy. I'm at 618 Sophia Street in Midlothian. I'm here to voice support for Life School's plan to build a high school in your community, a project that will open doors for countless families and students who are eager for a high-quality, character-driven education in a smaller environment than that offered by Duncanville High School. You have heard concerns about the potential for noise, lights from a stadium, or increased traffic due to school events. While these concerns are understandable for those in close proximity, you should not allow the voices of a vocal few to drown out the needs and hopes of the silent majority, those who are not present tonight, but who fully support Life School's presence in the community. Duncanville families want other options for their children's education. At least one family from the opposition have their children enrolled in another charter school, which supports this statement. Life School has a long-standing track record of academic success, character development, and strong community partnerships. Parents trust Life School, students thrive there, and communities benefit from the graduates they produce. This school will bring more than just classrooms. It will bring an opportunity, inspiration, and the kind of educational excellence that lifts an entire city. Let's not let the small number feeling inconvenienced outweigh the benefits to so many more. Let's not confuse volume with vision. I urge you to consider the bigger picture and stand with the many families who support this initiative by allowing Life School to build a high school right here where it is so greatly wanted.
State your name and address for the record.
My name is Alicia Brown Young. I live at 1503 Halsey Drive in the Meadows of Daniel Farms. I've been a resident there for over 18 years. I do agree with all the oppositions that have been spoken, but I want to give you a few of my reasons on why a charter school expansion is not needed in Duncanville ISD. The existing charter schools are under-enrolled. Duncanville already has 4 charter schools with significant unused capacity. Village Tech has 484 open seats. Life Academy has 221 open seats. Harmony has 380 open seats. UME has 410 open seats. Total open seats, 1,495. This data shows that we do not need additional school capacity. Adding another charter like Life would only fragment resources and further destabilize enrollment. Number 2, Duncanville High School is a flagship campus. Our community has invested in one of the largest, most comprehensive high schools in Texas. Duncanville High School is a point of pride, offering everything students need to thrive, from academics to athletics. Number 3, strong academic offerings. Duncanville ISD provides a robust academic pipeline, including industry certifications, internship programs, career exploration, dedicated college and career advising. Number 9, community involvement in public education. Our taxpayers have made significant investments in our public schools, including recent bonds for improvements. Introducing more charter schools threatens to divert critical resources away from the system we worked hard to build. City planning should not prioritize long-term growth, not duplication. Rezoning the 105-acre plot for another school is not only unnecessary, it is short-sighted. The city of Duncanville must prioritize residential development. The city of Duncanville already has a flagship public school system that is serving students well. With over 1,495 open seats in existing charter schools, the data is clear. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jerry Mester, and my wife Sharon is here along with me. We live at 378 Lakeview Circle here in Duncanville. We have lived here for 27 years. I currently teach at Life School Lancaster Elementary School and have taught there for 3 years. A life school, middle school, and high school will be an asset to Duncanville. Life schools go beyond academically preparing students. They also prepare them to be lifelong learners, involved in the community, self-aware, effective communicators, problem solvers, goal-oriented, and these are just a few of the 15 life leader attributes instilled within our students. My own 3 children attended a private school. I am thankful that they had that opportunity. Some families do not have the means or the opportunity to do that. But the free charter school that Life School would provide gives them the advantage that of a smaller classroom and teachers that would work with them and care for them. An advantage of the corner of Cockrell Hill and Daniel is that there are already 3 lanes of traffic going both directions. Our home is just behind the Village Tech campus charter school. There's 3 lanes on Daniel, but only 2 on Cedar Hill Road. I believe that Life School has shown that it will go above and beyond what is expected to help with the traffic issues. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Some more names: Jared Gills, Hugh Belton, Sharon Gray, and Dr. Simons. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, Joe Hoffer, 66 Champion Cliff in San Antonio. I'm legal counsel for Life School, so obviously I'm supportive of it. I just want to say that Life School will be a magnet for success in your community. It is a school like none other. There are other schools in your community, but Life School will bless your community for generations to come. And a rising tide lifts all boats here, and it will improve your educational outcomes for your students. It'll give more choices to your communities, more choices to your families, more choices to students to have success, and opportunities that will bless your community for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Please state your name and address.
My name is Edward Munoz, 1022 Fairlawn Drive here in Duncanville. Been here a little over 26 years. We live basically a stone's throw from Duncanville High School. Walk out my front yard, you see the stadium. That's how close I am to that school. When they talk about traffic, I understand exactly what they're talking about during that time. Might be a slight inconvenience for those with the Life School being there in that location. But it's something that we, again, with Duncanville being the city of champions and just a great school here in Duncanville, that's something we supported. The other thing is, being so close to Duncanville, my 3 daughters who have all graduated from high school and 2 from college, third one's about to go to college, all went to Life School. They all graduated from Life School Waxahachie. And even though we were so close to Duncanville, the opportunities that they had there at Duncanville, getting to know the personnel there, their mission statement, what they've been able to do was very important to us. And they've been very successful. And I understand, especially being in a neighborhood where school is, the traffic and all that, it is an inconvenience, but it's a short time, for that inconvenience once it's done. Life School does a very good job of, working with communities, whenever community that they're in. They do build leaders. They do a very good job of educating, and this is just a great example of being able to give more choices and opportunities here in the Duncanville area, the Tri-City area here, an opportunity for the kids here. We're not talking about kids just, immediately, but we're talking about our future kids and our future leaders for the city. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jared Gills. I'm speaking on behalf of my mom, Yolanda Gills. We reside at 951 Fairway Circle, Duncanville 75137. The pictures, maps previously provided by the city of Duncanville were inadequate to address her concerns. Therefore, she is voting against the current proposed rezoning. The following questions, issues, concerns that she has should and must be addressed before the proposed project is given further consideration. Are all the natural barriers of trees and brush, including a driveway, is it going to be removed on the Cockrell Hill Road side of the proposed project? Why has clearing of trees and brush already begun on the Cockrell Hill Road side of the project, including the drive that I mentioned earlier? From Daniel Dale Road to Cockrell Hill Road, up into the area across from Nichols Park. Has a decision already been made internally to move forward regardless of the public's input? Further, is there going to be a traffic light installed on Cockrell Hill Road around or near Nichols Park? And if so, what plans are in place to ensure school drop-off pickup lines don't inhibit the flow of traffic on Cockrell Hill Road? Will all natural barriers, the trees, the small creek remain untouched behind Fairway Circle towards the golf course? I would appreciate you all addressing each of the 6 items mentioned. Thank you.
Hello, Hugh Belton, 1530 Halsey Drive in Duncanville. I'll start with the math ain't mathin'. At the last meeting, they reported that the letters they received was some number, and out of the letters that they received, there were 119 against and 14 in favor. That just, so the math ain't mathin' to me. How do you get from that ratio to 1/3 versus 2/3? The other issue that
Could you speak into the microphone, please?
the other issue with these folks is they're just not good neighbors. They're, from their dismissive attitude toward the residents on the first call to not maintaining their property without fighting with the residents and the city. We submitted a request with compromises to make it a little more palatable, and they rejected it outright. And lastly, I would like to say that unequivocally, I oppose the zoning change.
Please state your name and address.
My name is Sharon Gray. I live at 503 Town Place in Duncanville. And I have lived in Duncanville since 1998. My kids play t-ball, soccer, fencing, even the community center. And my family goes to church off Main Street. And I love our Duncanville library. And I've also worked at Life School since 2007. And I want to explain while I'm speaking. Okay. Not because I want a shorter drive. I teach kindergarten. This is not going to affect me at all. But I do, and it's not because I'm being pressured to do so. I'm not. I'm doing it because I believe in Life School. They are good people. They genuinely care about the community, their kids. My daughter graduated, my nieces, and I can tell you as a parent and a teacher that they take care of their facilities. As a teacher, I just want you to know how fussy they are. I mean, how much I have to pull out every single staple out of my wall, how we have to train the children to clean up. These are methodical people, and they will take care of Duncanville. And I know that Duncanville residents are not happy about this, and I get it, I do. But I do want everyone to understand that if the zoning is approved, Life School will be a blessing to this community. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dr. Simmons. I live at 939 Fairway Drive. Beside the traffic and other things that some of my neighbors have talked about, I want to talk about health issue. We all know Texas and their football. Friday night football, Saturday night football. It's almost like we are going to have a flea market in our backyard. And that is not good for our health. Then there's the ambulance all the way from Parkerville coming to Charlton all day long. Where are they going to go when there's a road sign for 20 miles an hour limit and it's flashing. Where are they going to go with the speed bumps? This is not working out. We've been here 4 times now. Please, commissioners, don't grant this request. Our houses are a haven, peace of mind. And if we are not going to have our peace of mind, where else are we going to go? Nowhere. Health is important here. Health is important, and that's all I'm asking. Please, I've been here 39 years, and I plan to live here a long time. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any questions now for the applicant or for staff? Seeing none. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved at 9:24.
Second.
Please indicate your vote. Thank you. Motion passes. Commissioners, is there any discussion? I'll entertain a motion. Mr. Brennan, if you, oh, it's up. Could you please remind?
Excuse me. In front of you are the options for consideration for this evening for a recommendation to the City Council for this application. You can approve the application and the plan development that is submitted in front of you. You can approve with condition, and I would like to confirm that if you approve it or make a recommendation for approval, that does include all of the elements that were identified within the PD, you know, in the sense of the height, the setbacks, and everything else of the proposed site plan. So that is all incorporated into that plan development. So just wanted to include that. You can make a recommendation to approve with conditions based on public feedback and observations and review of the application. If there are additional conditions that you'd like to consider as part of your recommendation for the plan development, you can do that. You may deny the application, but again, findings of fact should be stated for the reasons for denying that, specifically to the Unified Development Code for the City of Duncanville. Or you may table the application to a future Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, if you so choose. Again, this is a recommendation to the City Council this evening. They are the ultimate approval factor for this application.
Madam
Thank you. Commissioner Davis.
Madam Chair, I know that we have closed the public hearing, but I do have a question for staff before we move forward with the entertainment of a motion. Mr. Kane, I just want to confirm what you just said. I want to make sure that I'm hearing you correctly. All of the requirements as it relates to height, setback, parking, all the exhibits, all of that is within the text of this life school plan development that you pointed out in the application, correct?
That is correct.
Because this document would become the governing document for this particular site if this body were to approve or recommend approval for that plan development district, correct?
That is correct.
Thank you for that clarification.
Commissioners, any other questions for staff? So I'll entertain a motion.
Based on the fact that we have clear guidelines on how planning and zoning is to vote, what we are to vote on, and knowing that we are just an advisory board, allowing City Council to hear this on a broader scope and take into consideration things that we are really unable to take into consideration, I will move to approve. as submitted.
Thank you, Commissioner Browning. Is there a second? Hearing no second, is there a discussion or amendment? Sorry, hearing none, motion dies.
Madam Chair, I have a substitute motion. I move that in this particular zoning request that I recommend denial, and on the basis of, as I review the plan development document, I do not see any provision for a couple things that I hear neighbors asking for and that I don't see in governance. In particular, I don't see anything about a traffic circulation or a TMP being required within this document. The second thing is, while I see a provision related to athletic netting, I do not see a provision that deals with the sound pollution that individuals within this. And then if I have a second to that based on those finding of facts, then I have some more, I think, comments that are illustrative of the motion that's put before you.
Is there a second to that motion?
A second.
Thank you for that second, Madam Chair. My comments really go back to the finding of fact as it relates to, I don't see any provision that would protect these neighbors as it relates to the traffic circulation, which is at the core of this. I understand that we have a unofficial or a traffic plan that's within here, but I don't see a reference to that within the plan development document. I think that's quite important to address those concerns. As I mentioned in my motion, I do not see a provision in here dealing with the volume, with sound emitting from those athletic uses. I see some provisions for others, but not in the others, but not in these particular cases. Something struck me in this is that there was a comment made by a public speaker discussing the vocal few versus the silent majority. And I do believe in neighborhood self-determination. I do believe that neighbors should have the ability to bring forward their concerns. And as I listened to the vocal few that were here today, those most impacted had concerns about traffic, they had concerns about noise, and they had concerns about the other athletic uses that would perhaps bleed over into their neighborhood and make it difficult for egress and ingress into their particular neighborhood, and potentially those at Willow Run and across the way. So with that, and based on those factual pieces, is my motion, and I hope that my colleagues would join me in supporting neighborhood self-determination, and also making sure that we give voice and stage and credence to the vocal few who would have to live with this that could potentially be a nuisance without those governing pieces within the plan development document. Thank you.
Before we take a vote, I'd like to add a comment to what Commissioner Davis has stated. Although we do have a traffic study that was independently reviewed twice, what the residents have said is that the current traffic level is inadequate. So a traffic study that says we will maintain and not improve does not address the current needs of the neighborhood. And so my concern is that although plans are great, we can never anticipate what really may happen. And if it's already inadequate, that seems to set us up for more problems instead of more advancements. So that was a current concern. The second concern was that the last time we were here, the residents spoke, the applicants were here, and today the applicants didn't come with any comments, changes, adjustments to what was said from the residents from the last time. And although that's not required, being that a lot of their concerns were related to those things that planning and zoning has we are responsible for, and as determined by our mission statement, we get to consider, that is concerning. And that's just my comment for the record. Thank you. We have a motion on the floor to deny. We have a second.
A second.
So please indicate Wait,
I was gonna
any
say-
more discussion?
I just want to make one clarification. There's two different things I think that you're speaking of. There is a traffic management plan that is included and part of the PD that was provided as part of the application. Separately is the traffic study that was done, requested by the city and then independently reviewed twice. There is a traffic management plan that was submitted as part of the application.
I appreciate that clarification, but I don't think that that's persuasive to my motion because I don't recall any linkages to it in the actual text of the document binding them to that TMP, in short, traffic management plan. So thank you for that clarifying point, though.
That being said, is there any more discussion? Hearing none, we have a motion to deny and a second. Please indicate your vote. Do. So we're voting, so if you're voting for, you're in approval of the motion, which is to deny, that would be the green.
Correct. In support of the motion would be yes.
Yes.
And if you're opposed to the motion to deny, you would vote no.
Yes. So the motion to deny passes. Thank you. Moving on, I believe we have item number 5 on the agenda is the discussion of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting frequency. We'll wait.
I'm the only one that would get it.
Mr. Kane, we're moving on to item number 5 on the agenda, which is the discussion of the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting frequency. Does the staff have a report? I believe that we started this discussion last week, but there was a couple of, our last meeting, there were a couple of questions that staff was working on.
We've been working on this for a couple months. I think we are still evaluating based upon the calendar. We've received feedback from multiple Plan Commission members of what days, even after the meeting on May 12th, we've heard some comments. So what we need from you all is to tell us what day works best as we continue to evaluate the calendar, the city calendar. Again, we've heard that Mondays may not be the best for some individuals, not for Plan Commission or not. So I think the guidance that we're seeking from you all this evening is what days of the week work best for if we are to make a change. Again, right now, the Plan Commission meeting is on Mondays. But if there's an alternative day, because again, we have heard some concerns that Mondays may not always work for individuals as well. But if we were to go to a two per month schedule, what would be the best day or days for you?
So if I'm understanding, you want each commissioner to share that information?
Yes.
My preference would be Wednesdays.
I I mean, I think it's virtually impossible to land on a date that would mutually satisfy 7 individuals with individual schedules. I know a couple years ago, we made the decision to move from meeting twice a month to meeting once a month, and I think that that's particularly helped. For me, Wednesday is not a good day for me, but what I will say is, we try to make whatever happens, but I think that this meeting date is established in the city as the meeting date. We just reduced the frequency to match the workload we had in terms of zoning requests and plats. I'll let Commissioner Rodriguez cast any light, should he wish, on that change we made a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I'm just concurring. I'll co-tell what my colleague said. I'm fine with Mondays. I think we transitioned into Mondays 2 or 3 years ago, and the frequency of the meetings became an issue because of the amount of cases we were getting, so we had to balance those things out. And that's kind of where all these changes started coming into place, but I don't know if we've got enough cases to meet twice a month. I mean, I'm fine with Mondays, but if somebody wants to change, I'm fine with that too.
Well, wasn't that the issue before, that we talked about having a day where we have a solid meeting, and if another meeting was necessary, then that's when we would go to the meeting if it was necessary. But if it wasn't, that meeting would be canceled out because it wouldn't be enough caseload to say have a meeting for one case.
And that's where I think we started. So the discussion was to go to twice a month. That's the discussion we had last meeting in May and the prior meeting as well. And with the discussion to go to twice a month, the opportunities become when does it make sense, and we don't, butt up against other meetings. And so then the day became the question. So that's how we got where we currently are. So now the question is, if we're going to twice a month, which day works?
That's what we're trying to get guidance from you all.
I'm in favor of first and third Mondays, or whatever. What are we now? Second and fourth Mondays?
What did we start out as?
I don't remember.
I think it was first.
5 years we changed.
Council meets
first.
Or Tuesdays.
The first and third, right? So I think we were second and fourth to stagger the council agenda. So if we're going back in time, then that would be the back way.
So if we do second and fourth Mondays, is that available in terms of butting up with other meetings or meeting conflicts in this room?
Need to confirm that still. I believe when we initially looked at it, there may have been a conflict on the 4th Monday initially, but again, we need to confirm that again.
Is there, and we do this with the bond committee. I don't know if the commissioners are open to this, but with the bond committee, which is a shorter commitment, 1 week we meet on Tuesdays, and then 2 weeks later we meet on Thursdays.
Oh.
So would it work where the second week we met on a Monday and the fourth week we met on Wednesday?
That's hard to track, I think. And I think the other piece is that I think the public needs some reasonable assurance of when to expect their public hearing to be held. Let me ask a dense question. What are we solving for?
This was brought up in the sense of just trying to manage the caseload, but also just as we've gone through, we've had some instances where, as we've been working through the backlog of applications and everything else, trying to be as efficient as possible for applications and moving applicants through the process. Ms. O'Brien is correct that when we did have the conversation last month, it is more about we would have a primary plan commission meeting in a month, but we've had several challenges trying to call special meetings and identifying an appropriate day or time for a special meeting. And so that's why we're looking at the different options.
Well, I'm just wondering, are we reacting to working our way out of short staffing, being short staffed, a backlog of zoning requests, and are we trying to propose something that may not be a protracted issue as we work our way out of being backlogged? I'm just wondering, because I'm a lot like Commissioner Rodriguez. I would hate for us to go through all of this and then kind of end back up on not necessarily needing a second meeting in the month.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll just say is, once we step out of the rhythm of whatever our committed meetings are, it becomes harder to nail us all down, which may present this as a problem. But if we just stick to, I think, what we have scheduled, I think people are generally more available, but that's just my observation.
I was just going to add a comment here. The question came up before about any kind of conflicts to, the second and fourth Monday or first and third or what have you. And the fourth Monday of every month is normally when the City of Duncanville, EDC, the Economic Development Commission, meets, so that there would be a conflict right there with that fourth Monday.
I really think, this is just me, I really think that based on the volume, based on having new staff in place, I would just see, why don't we just really kind of made this change. I'm just wondering, are we just going through a temporary phase of scheduling and backlog? That's what I'm just wondering.
Staff, how many times have we had a special meeting, like in the last, 3 months, 6 months, or attempted? Maybe we didn't actually schedule one, but we attempted to call a special meeting because there was a need.
I would say when Olson was brought on board to support the planning department, we did have, in March of this year, we did try coordinating 2, I think, special plan commission meetings because of the applications that you had in front of you this evening were all the way back to March. And by the time that we were trying to coordinate special meetings and everything else, we were missing the deadlines for proper notification and everything else. So from the short time period that Olson's been here, I think we tried coordinating or scheduling 2 special plan commission meetings, on top for that, and then also just for some additional training as well. So I'm going to say I'm personally neutral in this, in the sense of what is best for the planning commission. Again, we're here to support the staff and everything else as we go through this. If the direction, I would say, and I can't speak for the assistant city manager or the assistant planning director, but if it's to maintain 1 meeting and maybe there's an indication of what a special date would be if we needed to call one, maybe that's the route we need to go. But
I've always sort of maintained that I didn't really see the need for 2 meetings, so I'm happy staying with 1. And I do like your idea of maybe an idea that came to me was every once in a while there's a 5th Monday. Maybe that would be the time to play catch up. I don't know. It's just an
That's
idea.
the one break we get. But no, I would like to see us just continue to try to work this out. We have new staff on board. Olson, you're now on board. If y'all just feel like we can't manage our agenda to get out at a decent time, I think we'd be collectively more than happy to sit down and look at if we need an initial date. I think today is an anomaly. We had 3 or 4 SUP cases. I've rarely seen that in this body, so I think we're okay. That's just my gut. Before we try to go off and solve something, I think we have to really establish we have a problem that scheduling or adding a new meeting date would actually solve. I don't know that this would solve the issue of our backlog or how we're managing our agenda, quite frankly.
And I said this in a previous meeting, saying it now. If an additional meeting is a short-term fix for current problems, backlog, then I'm okay with that. And I think it's something we should do in order for to make sure the applicants are taken care of. And if we're going to do that as a short-term fix, we still have the same problem with second Monday works, but fourth Monday doesn't. Yeah, so just a comment.
Okay, so I think, part of the reason for looking at, 2 days a month was, number one, with the perceived backlog, and then number 2, a way to provide some training opportunities. If we want to, look at doing that, that would give us an extra day a month to be able to complete that. And then thirdly, we've been talking a little bit internally about being able to provide some predictability to applicants, and when they get their paperwork in and they get told, okay, your case will come to the P&Z in 4 weeks, and we've heard some feedback that, that they would like to be able to, have a quicker turnaround. But I totally understand some of the concerns that we're hearing tonight too. Sounds like there's not a perfect solution tonight, but we at least wanted to just have the conversation with you all and just kind of explore, potential opportunities to see how we can address some of these needs.
So I'm not sure, staff, that we helped you move forward on this at all.
Leave it to LaShayla and DeMarc. We will come back if we are looking at a change, but it sounds like right now we'll maintain the one meeting in a month and then continue to evaluate it, is what I'm hearing.
Okay. Okay, moving on to a discussion about item number 6, update to the City of Duncanville Comprehensive Plan.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. Currently with the comprehensive plan, we are planning to do the July 27 block party. We're still taking in new information we're getting with our third party, which is what's the name? I believe it's MBR.
Yes.
And so they still working in the background to make sure that we have everything ready for the comp plan. Everybody, it'll be all the different commissions and boards for July 22nd for the comp plan. Also, there'll be a steering meeting on July 8th for the comprehensive plan. As of right now, again, we're still working on all the details of that. It's no real big changes that has come apart. We won't be getting the first draft. Well, we should be getting it here in the next week or two. And so once we get that, everybody will get a copy of that. And then they will have a period of time in order to make any changes or suggestions that they would have before July 8th. And so that's all we have right now for the comp plan. So do y'all have any questions in specific?
Questions, Commissioners? No questions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you all.
It looks like we're moving on to item number 7.
Motion to approve.
Can I say it? Adjourned at
All in favor?
9:51.
9:51. Thank you.
Commissioner Rodriguez.